Welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty Podcast. Back at it again. Man, starting something new. We're done with our Dynasty rankings. It's time to hop on these rookies because the draft is what, Kraft, man? Like a couple weeks away?
18 days away.
18 days. So me and Kraft are about to be pumping out this rookie content. We've been watching some film. We watched college football too. Heck, you know how we do. I wrote down some shit. We about to break it down. I mean, me and the Kraft, man, we say we're not like the experts. We're not the experts. We're just your boys talking some football. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now, Kraft, man. I ain't an expert college football scout evaluator. What a shock! What a surprise! I'm just a guy who plays fantasy football, and I'm just gonna tell you what the fuck I've seen. Cause we down here in the South, college football is king down here. So I'm watching a lot of these guys as it is. So, what you say, Kraft, man?
I'm exactly with you. I was glad you said that because we definitely ain't scouts, but we did scout these guys. I mean, you watch a little more college than I do, but I've spent a lot of time watching this game film, not highlight reels, but actual game film of these QBs and just formulating my own opinions. I tried not to look up the public perception of these guys, and I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of differentiating opinions what I seen with my own two eyes, but like you said, we ain't experts, but
yeah,
it was fun acting like a scout for a little while.
Right. And it's like I wrote down some things that I've seen, like what I've seen, like I wrote down some things that I see what the television has said and what I'm seeing things that Twitter's saying, but you know how I feel. I don't really give a fuck what Twitter is saying about these guys or TV. I don't care what ESPN is saying about these guys. I know what I've seen with my eyes of how I feel about some of these dudes. And so we just going to say what we going to do. We got rookie drafts coming up. I know I got 3 or 4 coming up. So I'm ready, man. Let's just break it down, man. Add the podcast. But we just getting right to work tonight. Fuck it. So
follow us on Twitter, too. We're trying to get Twitter up and rolling.
Yep, get it popping. Heck, if you're gambling, follow me, too. Oh, man, crap.
You didn't bet on the Braves today, did you?
I did. I'm taking the L. I'm taking the L today. Tonight, we're doing Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker. So we'll start off at the top. Bryce Young, my favorite quarterback. The whole time, really been my favorite quarterback since his, sophomore year, the first year he started. And he went to the national championship versus the Dogs, and I think he beat him in the SEC championship. Then lost to him in the national championship. I believe that's how that went. In fact, I know that's how it went because I hate the Dogs, so I know what they were doing.
Lost his receivers in that game.
Yep. Lost Jamison Williams in the SEC championship, and he was dominating too, going off. And then I think finally lost John Mechie in the national championship game. Both to ACLs?
Both ACLs, yeah.
And with that said, and this past year in his junior year, like it wasn't like I can't even sit here and name who his weapons were for Alabama. They were definitely not like what. Yeah, not what what he's used to working with, and it wasn't like we'll talk about C.J. Stroud next episode. I mean that motherfucker's playing with every receiver in the every.
That's my top. Yeah, that's like my first bullet point of C.J. Stroud was had extreme weapons on offense. Some of the best receiving core college football's ever seen. So,
but heck, Bryce Young still had Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's still at Alabama. He still got you're playing with 5-star guys across the board, so. It's not too much of an excuse, but 5'10", 204 pounds, Alabama. What you got? Is he at 5'10" for you? I was just kind of writing down.
Yeah, that's what he did at the combine. ESPN says 6 foot, 194, and then I was like, no, I thought he weighed under, or I thought he was shorter than that. So he was 5'10", 204 at the combine. But I did hear a couple things. I heard. Who was it? George Kittle on McAfee's podcast the other day saying that at the combine, everybody is short. for some
Yeah.
reason because they're like in flats. They, almost barefoot, like stepping in a dip. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That's the most concerning thing. The public opinion on Bryce Young, though, is the height and the weight.
Yep. Height, weight, which leads down to like durability. Um, that's whenever we talk about this guy and even talk about him in college. I mean, this is the main thing. If you talk about his main weaknesses, this is what it is right here. It's just his size. To me, he's really not even as athletic as like a Kyler Murray. Not
Not
as
close.
fast as Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But with that said, I'll just be honest, man. Bryce Young is my guy. This dude right here, I think he's the best quarterback. I think he's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray as far as playing the position of quarterback. This dude
Yes.
runs an offense. I think he throws the ball on the run very well. He's not afraid to run, but he's mainly a pocket passer, and that's really what I like about him. So I think there's some hidden yards that you can pick up from Bryce Young from a game to game basis. Like he's not slow, but he can get out there and get some yards. But another one of his concerns is deep ball accuracy. Some of that I've seen some of that around, and another one that I've seen is sometimes this ain't mine. I'm not saying this, but this is one that I've written down. Sometimes he has trouble staying on schedule. Needs to make sure he can run an offense. So I don't know if that's just a lack of offensive weapons. You're in the SEC West. You're playing against top-notch defenses over there. That kind of stuff. To me, he strikes me as a guy who's going to be able to run an offense.
Yeah,
And
I'm
stay
with
on
you.
schedule. I don't really have any concerns with that type of nonsense, in my opinion.
Yeah, in 2021, this man had 4,872 yards, 47 touchdowns, and 7 picks. That was when he had, Jameson and everybody there. So the only thing that concerns me fantasy-wise is his upside. He's going to be mainly a pocket passer. He can get out of the pocket when he needs to, when the game is on the line. You see him run a little bit more. But, a couple points I got for him, some good, some bad, is he's very good at moving the defense with his eyes. He goes through his progressions real quick, and he can manipulate the pocket. He's probably the best quarterback in this class at stepping up and through, and just like you said, when you're that short, you can't just be a statue back there because when pressure comes up the middle, you're going to have a tough time making throws. So that's really the most I got about him is just I don't know about what his ceiling's going to be in the NFL, but as far as just a brilliant quarterback, probably the smartest quarterback in the draft at reading defenses, and
Right.
just the upside. He's not going to run much at all in the NFL. I mean, even last year, he only averaged like 3 yards a carry in college. So when he decided to run, but I remember when I seen him at the first game I seen him play against Georgia 2 years ago, I was like, this is the guy. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to be
Definitely.
great. So I don't want to change my opinion now.
Heisman Trophy winner. So he was the best college football player
Yep.
that year. Things I like early declare, productive, throws on the run, consistent. My thing to me is this is my biggest thing is like the eye test and the production. Like I want to know the production. Like there's a lot of hype about some of these guys' athleticisms and all that stuff, and that's not the type of shit I care about. Honestly, like I want to know, can you play? Could you play? He could play.
Yeah.
That's how I
And
see it.
yeah, one thing I do got written down too with him is he doesn't throw the ball that well outside the numbers because his arm isn't. It's definitely not the strongest arm, but it's very competent. It's kind of like Jalen Hurts' arm, where it's it isn't spectacular, but he can make most of the throws. But he's going to need some receivers. That scares me if he goes to the Texans. He's going to need some receivers that can get a little bit of yak because, like you said, his deep
Yeah.
ball is not the best, and most of his passes at Alabama was timing, slant routes, stuff like that. And they
Right.
were, especially when Jameson and Mechie was there, they were just yak, very good
Yeah.
at it. So he's going to need some players like that in the NFL.
Man, as far as production goes, I just kind of looked up, I was just kind of looking up some combine stuff and what they were saying, and you know, they rank these guys. The next gen has some little stats. I don't really care about next gen, but just to let you know, production score was 99 for Bryce Young, which was first among all the quarterbacks. His athleticism score was 82, which was seventh among the quarterbacks coming out. So,
Yeah.
the size, he is a little less athletic than some of these guys.
What do you
But
think
I
about
mean,
fantasy production, though? If he goes to, say, like the Texans, is he just going to be do you see a very high ceiling just by the way he plays? Or do you like this guy more as a NFL prospect than a fantasy prospect?
I feel like I do like him more as an NFL prospect than a fantasy, but that don't mean I don't like him as a fantasy. I still think this guy could be like there could be times where he's top 12 guy in the NFL and in a dynasty ranking, top 10. It's gonna be in Houston, gonna be in the dome. The division isn't exactly the toughest, although Trevor Lawrence and them seem like they might be about to take over. But you gotta have John Mechie there. D'Amico Ryans is showing up. Maybe they're trying to shore up this O line. Running backs
Did
there. So I don't know. I mean, there's some cause for optimism, I would say.
you see the news the other day where they said Houston may take a defensive player or may not pick a quarterback with the number 2 pick? I swear, this time of year they just be trying to
Yeah.
throw each other off, but there ain't no way they're
Well,
taking C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young.
I seen I seen somebody saying the Panthers, the Bryce Young is their guy. No, I just don't buy it. I just think Bryce Young's going to be with Houston. Pencil it in. My thing is
Yeah.
the Panthers might would take Anthony Richardson or something crazy, which I wouldn't do that. But I think C.J. Stroud's
Nah.
definitely going to be the guy.
Yeah, I do too. I think, Carolina experimented with a shorter quarterback last year with Baker Mayfield, and I don't know
Right.
how much they're going to go back to that, but, it's probably something they're thinking about. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they went Bryce Young, but I've been saying it's CJ Stroud, number one, since
Right.
since they made the trade.
And Superflex right now, his ADP is 18.3, so he's already the QB 11 according to ADP right now, which is behind CJ Stroud, who's going. Well, we'll talk about him later, but still, he's going in front of guys like heck, I don't even know Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. Yep, that Anthony Richardson, Tua, Trey Lance, still
Trey
up there,
Lance still hanging
hanging
around.
around. Uh, But yeah, that's pretty much Bryce Young, pretty much my favorite quarterback. That's pretty much where I stand.
Yep, not mine, but
Yeah.
number 2.
All right, ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, next we got Anthony Richardson, and this one right here, I just can't wait to get on these type of guys right here, Anthony Richardson. Because I'll just go ahead and start off by saying he's ass. This dude ain't shit. Nah, I'm just kidding, man. I ain't gonna be like that. But listen, man, Kraft. I watch college football, the eye test, all that. There's no doubt this dude does make some plays where it's like, holy shit, this
For
dude.
sure.
I mean, real quick, I wrote it down. This dude in his college career ran for touchdowns for 45, 60, 73, 80, and 81 yards. I
Yep.
mean, he's got 2 80-yard rushing touchdowns in his career. He's a quarterback. My thing is this dude is not consistent. I'm not saying Florida. I mean, Florida really has not been buttoned up because TV won't tell you, and a lot of these people down here they won't tell you this, but Florida, an SEC team, they've only had one good season since Tim Tebow left. They've been pretty bad for a long
Yeah.
time,
Yep.
and so I can't sit here and blame everything on Anthony Richardson, but I'm just gonna say he definitely still was getting some good players on his team. He's definitely playing with 5-star guys around. The SEC East isn't exactly that much of a powerhouse with a lot of these teams. He just ain't that. He just wasn't even that good to me. Like, if I was doing real NFL, this dude wouldn't even be third. But I know this is fantasy, so he's probably like third on my rankings for sure. But in NFL, I don't know, man. I might would take Hendon Hooker over both of these guys in real football. So
Who, both of them? You been talking about
Yeah.
Bryce Young?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm talking Will Levis too.
Oh,
You
Will
know
Levis.
what?
Okay.
Preview for the next episode. He's ass too. These kind of guys.
Oh,
So but you can't deny the athleticism. The man ran a what? A four? He's 6'4", 244. Ran a 4.43. I
40-inch
mean,
vert.
what the hell? I mean, you can't deny it. And the thing is like I would. There's no doubt. If we was doing this podcast when Josh Allen was coming out, I'd probably be saying the same things about Josh Allen. So there's definitely an upside to this. And if you hit on Anthony Richardson, I mean, it could change your team. So I would definitely take him. Like if you're in super flex drafts, I would definitely take him at the 104. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. It's kind of tough to me, but I would
I
take
know.
him pretty quick.
I know that last episode I was hating like hell on him, so I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stick with it as far as I don't think he's gonna be a great NFL quarterback, but as far as fantasy goes, he might. The only thing that scares me with him is if he's on the field, you're probably gonna get a little fantasy production, but if he's not good enough to remain a starting quarterback for the future, you might get a little trial period with him, and he just might not turn into anything. But some of the stuff I got written down, I'm just going to read it off. He's inaccurate when throwing on the run. He throws, every throw has the same pace. He does not know how to put loft on the football to throw it over linebackers. But he was consistently running for his life at Florida.
Yes.
So he was real quick on his feet to get out of the pocket, even when it wasn't breaking down. It was just like PTSD. It's time to go. But when he did, it kind of reminded me of Kyler a little bit, though. When stuff would break down, he would run backwards and not
Yeah.
just get the yards that were there. He did have that breakaway speed, which, I mean, there's probably not one NFL quarterback that, except for Lamar, as athletic as he is. But Lamar is definitely more agile and can break more tackles. Like Anthony Richardson is more of he got the speed, but he's 244 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big dude. But some of the other stuff I got, I feel like he's going to be good. I feel like the Colts are going to get him. If he gets in that Jalen Hurts system with what's his name, Shane Steichen, who came over, I think that's going to be the Colts pick, and they can run that zone read RPO type system. That's going to be the best thing for him because
Right.
you don't want him under center, and you don't want him to have to read defenses and break down defenses. You want him to, use his athleticism. And
Yeah. I kind of got the same things you got. As when I wrote down weaknesses, I wrote inconsistent. He's inaccurate. He's got average touch on the ball, and he throws the ball into danger a lot. So that's what I put. But elite size, explosive playability, and he's willing to take on the hit to throw the pass. He can stand in the pocket and take it. Big guy too, so
strong arm too, very strong
strong
arm.
arm. Yeah, dude's hitting the roof in the building. He's like throwing the ball up. You seen any of those little highlights? Throwing the
Yes.
ball flat footed across the whole field. I mean, this dude is I mean, heck, this right here, talking about these first two guys, this evaluation should describe me perfectly what I like. These two dudes, Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, total opposites. I mean,
Yes.
and I'm
They
picking the
play the
5'10"
game
guy.
completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the 5'10" guy who's skinny
Yeah.
as a beanpole that we're worried about just getting beat up over this guy who's running a 4.43. But here's the thing. My thing is too is to me he's like a little more valuable in like redraft leagues for his next couple years than a dynasty league because this dude could definitely pull out some Justin Fields seasons like what Justin Fields just did. I could definitely see him doing something like that. And if he does, I mean, we're talking about elite fantasy
Yeah.
production.
I'm not against picking him in fantasy. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't blame anybody if say they were to take him over Young or Stroud in a rookie draft. I mean, if you really want to take that high risk, high reward type approach, depends on what other quarterbacks you got on your squad. But I mean, he's going to need some work for sure. I can see a little upside with him, but they want to compare him to Lamar. even like the speed and everything, he still only ran for 654 rushing yards last year. Lamar was over 1,000 almost every year in college, and he had 2,549 passing yards, 17 TDs, and 9 interceptions. Nothing spectacular, but Florida they were terrible. Their offensive line was ass.
Yep.
They were just bad. Didn't have weapons on the outside to throw the ball to. You know,
They're
if
not
he'd been
buttoned
playing
up,
for
right?
Bama, them numbers would have been a lot better.
Right. So right now in Superflex ADP is 24.4, which is the 14th quarterback. So we're talking about in front of Tua, right behind Deshaun, in front of Tua. Give me Tua. But then the next guys are like Trey Lance, Will Levis, Kirk Cousins. I feel like his ADP is kind of right. I would take Anthony Richardson ahead of guys like Trey Lance, Will Levis, and Kirk Cousins. Uh, Especially if you're going for that ceiling. Um, One little note though, right quick though, over his last 6 games, he had a 12-2 touchdown to interception ratio. So maybe he was, I can't say I watched too much Florida towards the back half of the year when you start falling off, but you know, had a good run to finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think, like in a rookie draft, I would be more inclined to take him. But as in a startup draft where you have to draft this guy to be, you're drafting him as your number one quarterback in startup pretty much, or you're
You're
going to
number
have to give him
two.
the sake. Yeah, if you're in a non super flex, this is going to be your number one probably, and if you're in a super flex, you know, I just can't. I'm not going to pull the trigger on him in a startup. I don't think. But in a rookie draft and a team that I've already had, if I already have two pretty decently safe QBs, if I had Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, then yeah, probably take a shot then. But I don't know. I probably won't be having them in any of my startups.
Right. I agree. I definitely won't be. Uh, Ready to go to Hendon Hooker?
Yeah.
All right, Hendon Hooker, 6'3", 217 pounds, out of Tennessee, transferred from Virginia Tech, where he spent a couple years. I remember watching him play. I watch a lot of ACC football. If people listen to this, I'm the only guy out there that you'll ever hear out here talking about watching ACC football. So I watched Hendon Hooker, and then he went to Tennessee. I actually like Hendon Hooker. Um, what am I missing? 25 years old, so he's older, and he suffered an ACL injury towards the end of the year, which I think really hurt him, man, because this dude, I think he was starting to soar up in people's eyes.
He was a Heisman favorite for a while there. Before
Yeah.
the ACL, he was, right there with the rest of them. But Tennessee had I wouldn't doubt if their offensive coordinator is a head coach for a very decent program or moves up to the NFL level here soon, because they ran a very pro style offense and receivers were running wide open all the time in that offense.
Yeah, see,
And
that
he
was
had
the
good
thing.
receivers too.
Yeah, had good receivers. Let's see. With some of the things that I wrote down was he could be an NFL pocket passer with dual threat athleticism. Uh, Keeps plays on schedule, good in the quick game, and avoids high risk plays. I think in 2021 he threw 3 interceptions. In 2022 he threw 2.
31 TDs
So
and 3 interceptions in 2021. He don't turn the ball over at
so
all.
we're talking about 2 good football seasons of production. Um, and I don't even have his Virginia Tech stuff written down because I didn't care. That's like a lifetime ago. That's like 5 years ago, 4 and 5 years ago. So we're talking about 2 good years of production from Hendon Hooker. If this was real football, I would have him third in my rankings. Um, Fantasy, it's a little different, but I like Hendon Hooker. This is my main reason why I like Hendon Hooker. This dude can make throws. And if you can make throws, like we're gonna talk about these other guys, and my thing with Anthony Richardson is like he can make throws, but it's just not consistent like this Hendon Hooker guy right here throwing the ball. Him and Jalen High. I mean, them dudes were wide open. The offense kind of gimmicky, So maybe they're benefiting in a quarterback friendly offense, but this dude can make throws.
Yeah.
So that's why I like him.
Yeah, he can make a lot of throws, and a lot of the film I watched, there's a lot of quick screens, but he has a very good deep ball. I mean, Jalen Hyatt was just running behind defenders all the time. But some of the bullet points I got, has good athleticism with above average arm strength. He does seem to stay stuck on one receiver. Didn't
Yeah.
work through his progressions that well. Um, Probably gonna do better on a team who has a good big receiver, like a DK Metcalf type guy who can go up and get it, and got the ball out of his hands quickly. And one main thing, he does stand. He's very good in the pocket, but he doesn't extend plays in the pocket. So he gets out, like I said, he gets the ball out of his hands quick. But he wasn't like Bryce Young at extending plays within the pocket, but he can more athleticism of just going straight ahead, getting 5-10 yards, running the ball.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy we're talking about probably going to go. I think he'll probably go into the second round of the NFL draft. So possibly a better spot. Although have heard some rumblings about him going in the first. Man, it would be nice if he could go to like a Seattle or something like that for real and sit behind somebody. But I think there's some numbers that second round quarterbacks don't really succeed too much. But Jalen Hurts did. So I mean, I'll take a shot on Hendon Hooker at. Why take Will Levis? Why take Will Levis in the top 10 when you can get Hendon Hooker in the second round? That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I've seen some things where he could go to like Tennessee in the first or Baltimore if they can't get this Lamar thing figured out. But another thing didn't mention is the Tennessee thing. The only film that I seen of Hendon Hooker, he was in shotgun. So I don't know how Tennessee's going to work, or if you're running that kind of power offensive scheme where you're under center and have a lot of play action, kind of like 49ers, Tennessee, stuff like that. He's mainly in the shotgun in college. So, and that's college is kind of transformed that way anyway. He's not the only one, but
Right.
that's going to be something that he's going to need to get in the right offensive scheme to help him out, because I just didn't see a whole lot of play action from him.
Yep. Superflex ADP is going 112, which is the quarterback 29. So, long shot. It's going behind
Draft
like Brock
capital.
Purdy.
Draft
Yep.
capital is gonna mean a lot for him.
Big
And if he didn't
time.
tear his ACL, he probably would be ahead of. He'd
would
be close
be.
to Will Levis probably.
I agree. 100%. So, man, that ACL injury was tough. At the end of the season, too. And combine that with his age, I mean, he'll probably be 26 when he's recovering from that. Obviously, I don't really care about age, especially with a quarterback. I mean, they're playing. You could still. I mean, what if he just you hit the jackpot and he was good right from the jump? You get like 9 years of him. So, and that's just
Yeah.
being generous. So,
Did he remind you of anybody like in the NFL?
got some player comps, man.
I mean, I was trying to avoid that, but we didn't do a whole lot of player comps. I don't really like player comps like that, but
Yeah. I mean, I can't say why. Well, you got somebody on your mind?
not really. Jacoby Brissett, a little Jared Goff as far as like his throwing motion and everything. He's more athletic
Yeah.
than Jared Goff, but he reminds me like just getting the ball out of your hands real quick, and the throwing motion isn't real quick and to the point. I mean, that's the only comps that I really have for him.
Right.
I don't think he's going to be like through the roof fantasy production, even if he, is a starter for a team. But he could be a good super flex guy.
Right. Just a little sleeper out there for you. Pretty much in sleeper conversation in Superflex leagues. But, why not take a chance on a guy that can make throws and was balling out for 2 years at Tennessee, who Tennessee struggled. Heck, they ain't been good since motherfucking 2002 or something. So we're talking about a long time. And then got the right recipe up there.
So what's the reason he waited so long to come out of college? Was he just not putting up? It just took him a while to get acquainted and just not putting up that much production.
Man,
Or you think it
I
was
can't
just
say.
the system he was in at Tennessee?
I don't know, man. I can't say. I mean, I watched him all these years, but I mean, there was discussion of Hooker coming out. Well, maybe he decided to come back. They get this, all this COVID shit kind of throws it off too. Like, what? Maybe he got an extra year and was like, "Fuck it, I'm coming back again." But I mean, he did redshirt his freshman year too, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't say.
Yeah.
Well, what you think, man? We wrap it up. Wrap it on up. We'll get to the next set.
Yeah, man. Got them 3. Got a couple bums to talk about in the next one.
Yep.
I do feel like I was gonna say it. Is there a quarterback you want to kind of predict? I feel like Levis is gonna fall pretty decent in this draft coming up.
That would be my
I don't
guess.
think they're all gonna go right where everybody says they're gonna go. Like Malik Willis was the number 1 guy last year at this time of year, and then when the draft come around, he was like a second or third round pick. So don't be surprised.
I wish I was doing this stuff last year at this time because I was not big on that Malik Willis train. Like, dude transfer from Auburn to Liberty and supposed to be impressed. Like, I don't know. But yeah, man. Heck, let's just wrap it on up, man. Let's get out of here. Thanks for listening to the episode. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker. Check out the podcast. That's where most of our content's coming from right now. Follow us on Twitter. At Crew Matt Ham, Craftman Pack Fan. What else? What else we gotta say to the folks?
Shoot, nothing much. It's all gonna be rookie content until the draft. Like we said, 18 days. We're probably gonna drop at least 6 episodes, two a piece for every position, and got some sleepers. Got some of the main guys everybody's been talking about of these rookies. And
maybe some rookie mocks before the draft. We can get a little rookie mock in, and we'll try our best. So, clearly gonna be doing it after. So, all right, then we'll shoot, man. Let's just wrap it on up, man. We out.
Peace.